Because there are so many profound dots to connect in the parable of the friend at midnight, I wanted to come back and talk about this statement that he makes, "Let me not have tirings." Again, Luke 11:7, where, remember, as having risen, as one being risen, means that this one, the friend, has entered the wedding feasts at the time of midnight, who is now an officiating spirit. This is what happens when we enter the wedding feasts, either at eventide or midnight. So what does he mean by "let me not have tirings"? Keyword, tirings. Well, first of all, this has a direct relationship to what Paul tells Timothy in 2 Timothy 2:6 concerning land work, working. To the land worker tiring himself, okay, that is the giving of the bread that we talked about in the last video, and also sowing of seed, which is the word. It is binding before, yea, formerly, meaning to come prior into the partaking with of the fruits, which is the harvesting. So you do the land work and you sow, you water, you're giving the bread. When it's time for harvest, you're taking the reward of the harvest. Your work is finished then. So the friend, having risen, takes the reward. John 4:36, which is Aeonian life. So we read the harvesting one takes the reward and leads to gather fruit into Aeonian life. So into Aeonian life have not yet taken the reward. Then we see, so that at the like same time, both the sowing one and the harvesting one who takes the reward may be joyful. Now, in relationship to the sowing one and bread, which we talked about in the last video, Paul writes in 2 Corinthians 9:10, but the one choir-like leading gives seed to the sowing one. The seed is the word of God, the word of the regency, the word of life, the heralded, and bread for food. And then we'll lead choir-like and we'll let your seed grow. So the seed grows to the fruit, which is then harvested when the reward is taken at its fullness. So again, when we come back to John 4:36 concerning the taking of the reward and then the sowing one, we have the one taking the reward is the officiating spirit, angel, and the one sowing is the friend at midnight doing the land work still in the third watch time, where if we back up, we see my food, remember, bread for food. My food is that I do the will of the one sending me and to accomplish his work, which the accomplishment of all is into the finish of the third watch time. But to the land worker tiring himself, it is binding before, yea, formally, to partake of the fruits, who do the work prior to others. So the friend at midnight says, "Let me not have tirings," because his tiring is finished. Where again, when we come back to John 4:36 through 38, here we read, "I have dispatched you to harvest toward which you have not tired yourselves." So these are later. They're not before, yea, formerly. Others have tired themselves, and you have come into their tiring. So those, again, who have tired themselves before they, who have not, enter the wedding feast. Hence, let me not have tirings.